Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today I want to talk to you about something that touches every single human life. Tough times. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Life will not always be smooth, storms will come. But the real question is not how to escape those storms, but how to relax and stay calm while walking through them. Accepting a situation does not mean giving up or surrendering to defeat. It means acknowledging reality as it is, rather than how we wish it to be. Many times in life, the pain we feel does not come from the situation itself, but from our resistance to it. When something unexpected happens, when life brings challenges, our first reaction is often to question, complain, or even blame ourselves and others. This internal fight drains our mental and emotional energy. Acceptance is the key that gently stops this inner battle. It is like saying, yes, this is difficult. Yes, I am hurting, but I am willing to face it. This shift alone can bring remarkable peace to the mind. Imagine a river flowing. When we stand in the middle of it and try to stop the flow with our hands, we exhaust ourselves. But when we step aside and allow the river to move, we conserve strength and find stability. Life is similar. Tough times are like strong currents. If we resist, we get tired. If we accept, we stay calm and think more clearly. Acceptance opens the door to solution-oriented thinking. When the mind is relaxed instead of panicked, we begin to see options, ideas, and new paths that were previously hidden behind our emotional turmoil. Many people believe that accepting a problem means being weak, passive, or careless. But in truth, acceptance is one of the highest forms of inner strength. It requires maturity to face reality without escape, distraction, or denial. It takes courage to say, this is happening and I will handle it. When we stop running from our struggles, we begin to grow through them. Just like a seed must break open to become a plant, we too must sometimes break through our comfort to become stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Acceptance also helps us regulate emotions. Instead of letting anger, sadness, or frustration control our actions, we learn to observe them without drowning in them. We begin to respond rather than react, and this shift is powerful. A calm mind has clarity. A clear mind makes better decisions. Better decisions lead to better outcomes. Simply by accepting reality, we position ourselves to rise above it. Moreover, acceptance reconnects us with patience. Once we acknowledge that struggles are part of life, we stop expecting life to be perfect. We understand that tough times do not come to stay forever. They come to shape us, teach us, refine us. Every storm eventually passes. Every night eventually turns into morning. When we accept this natural rhythm of life, we find emotional balance, even when circumstances are not in our favor. In challenging moments, acceptance can be practiced through deep breathing, self-reflection, and mindful awareness. For example, instead of immediately reacting to a stressful situation, take a few slow breaths. Name what you are feeling. Tell yourself that it is okay to feel this way. This small pause creates space between the situation and your reaction. And in that space lies peace. Acceptance is not the end of effort. It is the beginning of wise effort. It allows us to use our strength where it matters, instead of wasting it on resisting what cannot be changed. It teaches us to flow with life rather than fight against it. When we accept situations with grace, we gain the power to transform them. And in that transformation, we discover our resilience, our inner peace, and our true strength. Practicing gratitude during tough times can feel counterintuitive, because when life becomes difficult, the mind naturally focuses on what is going wrong rather than what is still right. Yet gratitude is one of the most powerful emotional tools for inner relaxation and balance. It does not mean denying your pain or pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing to recognize that even in challenging situations, there are aspects of life that remain valuable, meaningful, and supportive. Gratitude gently shifts the focus from scarcity to abundance, from what is missing to what is present, and from what hurts to what heals. This perspective does not eliminate the difficulty, but it dramatically reduces the stress associated with it. When a person consistently practices gratitude, they retrain their mind to see life differently. The human brain has a natural bias toward negativity. It pays more attention to threats, problems, and fears because in ancient times, this helped us survive. But today, this tendency often causes unnecessary emotional suffering. Gratitude works as the antidote to that bias. It allows us to intentionally seek out the positives that are already there. For example, even during emotional pain, one may still have supportive friends, the ability to breathe deeply, a new day to start over, or the opportunity to learn from the situation. These small acknowledgements act as internal anchors that keep us grounded when life becomes overwhelming. Gratitude is not about comparing your pain to someone else's. It is not about telling yourself your problem is small or unimportant. Instead, it is about creating emotional space to realize that life is not only pain, there is also comfort, beauty, and blessings coexisting with the challenges. When we practice gratitude, we become more aware of the full picture instead of letting the negative parts dominate our emotional state entirely. This balanced awareness brings calmness. One of the simplest yet profound practices is to start noticing everyday details that often go unnoticed. The warmth of sunlight through a window, the sound of a loved one's voice, the ability to rest, the taste of a meal, or even the silence that allows you to think. These small experiences, when acknowledged, create a sense of connection to life. When the mind appreciates these small gifts, the heart begins to relax because gratitude shifts the internal focus from struggle to stability. Moreover, gratitude strengthens emotional resilience. People who regularly reflect on what they are grateful for tend to recover faster from emotional setbacks because their mindset is balanced. They know that just because something went wrong today, it doesn't mean everything is falling apart. Gratitude gives emotional context, reminding you that life is not defined by a single moment, but by the entire journey. Gratitude can also be expressed through small actions, saying thank you more often, writing down 3 things you appreciate each day, or silently acknowledging something good every morning can gradually reshape your emotional environment. These practices might seem simple, but their impact is deep because they slowly build a habit of emotional resilience and peace. In difficult times, practicing gratitude can feel like a ray of light in a dark space. When stress tries to overwhelm the mind, gratitude whispers, there is still hope, there is still goodness here. And that whisper, repeated often enough, becomes strength. It becomes clarity. It becomes healing. Gratitude does not remove tough times, but it gives you the calm, steady heart needed to walk through them with dignity and courage. In challenging phases of life, the company we keep plays a tremendous role in shaping our emotional strength and mental stability. Human beings are social by nature, and our minds absorb the energy, attitudes, and influences of those around us. When going through tough times, we are already emotionally vulnerable, and this vulnerability can either be supported or harmed, depending on who surrounds us. Positive company uplifts, motivates, and encourages. Negative company drains, discourages, and intensifies stress. Therefore, surrounding yourself with positive, understanding, and compassionate individuals is not just a suggestion, it is a necessity for emotional well-being. When we share our thoughts, fears, and worries with the right people, something powerful happens. The burden lessens. A problem that felt heavy when carried alone becomes lighter when expressed. Speaking out does not mean weakness. It means acknowledging that healing grows in connection. A person who listens without judgment has the ability to soothe our anxiety more effectively than any solution. It is not always about finding answers. Sometimes it is simply about being heard. Emotional support often starts with presence, not advice. Positive people do not mean perfect people. They are those who inspire growth rather than feed negativity. They encourage reflection rather than blame. They remind you of your strengths rather than highlight your flaws. Their words create clarity instead of confusion. They help you see possibility even when you feel stuck. This type of support nurtures emotional resilience. It makes you believe that even if today is difficult, tomorrow holds a chance for renewal and improvement. On the contrary, the wrong company can worsen emotional pain. Being around individuals who constantly complain, criticize, judge, or discourage makes the mind heavier. Their negativity acts like a lens that colors your perception of life. When your environment is filled with hopelessness or drama, your inner world begins to reflect the same. That is why protecting your emotional environment is just as important as taking care of your physical health. The people you interact with influence your state of mind more than you may realize. One of the strongest signs of emotional maturity is recognizing when to step away from relationships that drain your mental peace. This does not require anger, argument, or resentment. It simply requires clarity. It means valuing your emotional well-being enough to prioritize supportive connections over harmful ones. Sometimes, distancing from negativity allows space for growth, healing, and new beginnings. Additionally, surrounding yourself with positive individuals does not only mean friends and family, it can also include mentors, teachers, spiritual guides, counselors, or even inspiring voices through books, talks, or speeches. The goal is to consistently feed the mind with strength rather than worry. Sometimes one meaningful conversation can shift your entire mindset. Sometimes one uplifting message heard at the right time can prevent you from giving up. Positive company also reinforces hope. When tough times cloud the mind, hope becomes hard to see alone. But when someone reminds you of your worth, your potential, and your progress, hope begins to return. This shared hope becomes a source of comfort, reminding you that you are not walking alone. Human connection has the power to heal emotional wounds that logic alone cannot reach. Ultimately, choosing supportive company is choosing emotional stability. It is acknowledging that we heal better together. When we surround ourselves with those who believe in us, we learn to believe in ourselves again. When we allow warmth, encouragement, and empathy to enter our lives, tough times become easier to endure. The presence of the right people does not remove challenges, but it gives us the strength to face them with courage and grace. Being kind to yourself during tough times is one of the most vital, but often the most overlooked practices of emotional well-being. Many people offer compassion to others with ease, yet remain harsh, critical, or impatient with themselves. When life becomes difficult, the inner voice can become extremely negative, constantly pointing out mistakes, failures, or weaknesses. This self-criticism deepens stress rather than easing it. To get relaxation during challenging phases, one must learn to treat oneself with the same gentleness and understanding that one would offer to a loved one facing hardship. Self-kindness begins with acknowledging that being human means being imperfect. Every individual makes mistakes, experiences setbacks, and faces situations that feel overwhelming. Yet, we often expect ourselves to handle everything flawlessly. When expectations clash with reality, disappointment arises, not from the situation itself, but from the belief that we should have done better. Being kind to yourself means realizing that growth takes time, healing takes time, and that patience with oneself is not weakness, it is emotional wisdom. When we encounter struggle, the mind tends to overthink and replay events. It is important during these moments to consciously shift our self-talk. Instead of saying, "I failed," say, "I am learning." Instead of thinking, "I'm not strong enough," remind yourself, "I am growing through this." Words shape emotional experience. The language we use internally can either fuel anxiety or foster calmness. Gentle self-talk acts like a soothing balm that helps the mind relax even when external circumstances have not yet changed. Another essential component of self-kindness is allowing yourself to rest. In many cultures, rest is mistakenly associated with laziness, but rest is not a luxury. It is a requirement for clarity and emotional stability. During tough times, the body and mind work harder to manage stress, which makes rest even more necessary. Giving yourself time to breathe, sleep, pause, or simply do nothing is not avoidance. It is healing. Rest restores emotional balance and strengthens resilience. Self-kindness also involves recognizing your emotional needs and giving yourself permission to feel them. Pain, frustration, sadness, and fear are natural responses to difficulty. Ignoring or suppressing emotions does not make them disappear. It only makes them return stronger. By acknowledging your feelings without judgment, you create space for healing to begin. It is perfectly acceptable to say, "This is hard for me," without apologizing for your emotions. Being honest with yourself is a profound act of self-compassion. Along with emotional kindness, physical self-care is equally important. Nourishing your body with proper meals, gentle exercise, hydration, and fresh air supports your mind more than one might realize. The mind and body are deeply connected. Caring for one nurtures the other. Even small actions, taking a slow walk, stretching, or drinking a warm cup of tea, can signal to your nervous system that it is safe to relax. Most importantly, self-kindness means allowing yourself to grow at your own pace. Healing is not a competition, and progress is not measured by speed. Some days you will feel strong, and other days you may feel fragile, and both are valid. What matters is that you continue to treat yourself with patience rather than pressure. The journey through tough times becomes less painful when you stand beside yourself as a friend rather than an enemy. Being kind to yourself is not self-indulgence, it is self-respect. It means recognizing your worth even when circumstances are challenging. When you extend compassion inward, you help yourself rise with dignity and resilience. And through this inner kindness, relaxation begins to flow naturally, allowing you to move through difficulties with greater calm, balance, and grace. Staying patient and trusting the process during tough times is one of the most transformative attitudes a person can cultivate. Challenges often create urgency within us. We want answers quickly, solutions immediately, and comfort instantly. However, growth does not follow the schedule of our emotions. Life has its own rhythm, and every stage unfolds at the time it is meant to. Patience is the discipline of understanding that meaningful change takes time. Trusting the process means having faith that even if the path is unclear at the moment, it is leading somewhere meaningful. When difficulties arise, the natural tendency is to become restless, anxious, or frustrated. The mind begins to worry about the future, question every step, and fear the unknown. In such moments, patience acts like a soft reminder to slow down, breathe, and remain grounded in the present. It shifts focus from what is beyond our control to what is within our reach. When we stop trying to force outcomes, we begin to see situations with greater clarity. A calm mind recognizes opportunities that a stressed mind overlooks. Trust is not about ignoring challenges. It is about understanding that life is a continuous process of learning and becoming. Every hardship shapes us in ways that may not be immediately visible. Just as seeds take time to break open before sprouting into life, we too undergo internal shifts that prepare us for the next stage of our journey. These internal transformations often happen quietly, away from the eyes of the world, and even away from our own conscious awareness. Patience allows these hidden developments to unfold naturally. When we trust the process, we stop comparing our timeline with others. Comparison is one of the greatest thieves of peace. Every person's journey is unique, marked by different challenges, different lessons, and different timing. Looking at someone else's progress and questioning our own slows emotional healing. Patience helps us honor our individual journey. It allows us to focus on our own steps rather than racing to match someone else's path. Trust also requires letting go of the illusion of control. Much of the stress we experience comes from trying to control outcomes that were never meant to be controlled. Life unfolds in ways we cannot predict, and sometimes the events we resist the most are the ones that eventually guide us toward growth. When we surrender the need to control every detail, we create emotional space to receive what life is teaching us. This surrender is not giving up, but rather choosing peace over fear. Staying patient does not mean being passive. It means continuing to make effort without demanding instant results. Small, consistent steps taken with commitment have far greater impact than rushed decisions fueled by panic. Progress during difficult phases is often subtle. It may not be immediately visible, but it accumulates quietly. Over time, these small steps lead to significant change. Trusting the process also strengthens emotional resilience. When we develop confidence that life unfolds with purpose, uncertainty becomes less frightening. Even when answers are not clear, faith provides stability. It reminds us that challenges are temporary and that growth is ongoing. This belief keeps us steady even during storms. The journey through tough times becomes less overwhelming when we view it as part of a larger unfolding. Patience teaches us to stay present. Trust teaches us to stay hopeful. Together, they bring inner relaxation, emotional clarity, and the grace to move through challenges with strength and dignity. By allowing life to unfold at its natural pace, we give ourselves the chance to learn, adapt, and rise with deeper understanding and renewed resilience. Keep moving forward, even if the progress feels slow, because movement itself is a sign of strength. During tough times, it is common to feel stuck, overwhelmed, or exhausted. The weight of challenges can make even the smallest step feel heavy. But growth does not always require great leaps. Sometimes it requires only the willingness to take one step at a time. Progress is not measured by speed, but by persistence. Every small effort, every small decision to continue becomes a testimony to resilience. When life becomes difficult, the mind often tries to convince us to stop trying. Doubt may whisper, "What's the point?" Fear may say, "You're not capable." Fatigue may say, "Just give up." But in those moments, choosing to move forward, no matter how slowly, is an act of courage. It means refusing to let the struggle define the end of your journey. Moving forward keeps the heart open to possibility. Even if you do not see results immediately, your effort is shaping your future quietly, steadily, and meaningfully. It is important to understand that progress is not always visible. Seeds grow roots long before they break through the surface. The same is true for personal growth. There are phases in life where it seems like nothing is changing, nothing is improving, and everything is standing still. But beneath the surface, your experiences, reflections, and efforts are building strength, patience, and wisdom. These inner shifts are often unnoticed, yet they are the foundation of transformation. Just because progress is invisible does not mean it is absent. Keep moving forward also means allowing yourself to adjust your pace. There will be days when you move with confidence and momentum. There will be days when you move slowly, uncertainly, or with hesitation. Both kinds of days are valuable. What matters is not the pace, but the direction. The willingness to continue, even with small steps, builds emotional endurance. And emotional endurance is what allows you to overcome challenges that once felt impossible. It is also important to celebrate small achievements along the way. Many times we dismiss small progress because it does not look grand. But every accomplishment, no matter how small, contributes to the overall journey. Getting out of bed, showing up to responsibilities, taking time to reflect, seeking support, or simply choosing not to give up are significant acts of strength during difficult times. Recognizing and appreciating these steps fuels motivation and encourages the mind to stay hopeful. There will be setbacks. Sometimes you will move forward and then fall back. But setbacks do not erase progress. They are part of the learning process. Growth is not linear. It moves in curves, waves, and cycles. When setbacks occur, instead of being discouraged, use them as reminders that you are still learning. Every time you rise again, you become stronger than before. Resilience is not built in comfort. It is built in challenges. Moving forward also requires compassion toward yourself. Do not pressure yourself to be perfect, to recover quickly, or to always feel strong. A gentle approach to self-growth creates stability. When you allow yourself to move at a pace that respects your emotional capacity, your progress becomes sustainable rather than forced. Tough times may slow you down, but they do not have to stop you. Each step forward, no matter how small, carries meaning. With every step, you are rewriting your story, rebuilding your strength, and preparing for better days. Continuing to move forward is a promise you make to yourself, a promise that says, I will not give up on my journey. And that promise alone is a powerful act of resilience, healing, and hope. So, my dear friends, when life challenges you, don't run, don't hide, and don't break. Pause, breathe, reflect, trust. You are stronger than your struggle. Your story is still being written. And one day, you will look back and say, these tough times made me who I am today. Thank you so much. Stay peaceful, stay blessed,